Willy Wonka is a character that has lived in the hearts and minds of children for generations. This Christmas, Warner Brothers hopes to keep that legacy going by revealing how the famous chocolatier got his start. Here's what you need to know before heading to the theaters. Wonka has been in the chocolate river pipeline for quite some time, with trades first announcing the project back in 2016. It was eventually announced that the movie would hit theaters on March 17, 2023, but in 2022, Warner Brothers decided to push back a whole bunch of projects. According to Deadline, this was because they planned on releasing a ton of VFX-heavy films and needed more time to get everything perfect. As a result, Wonka was kicked back to Christmas time, with a new release date of December 15, 2023. From what we've heard about the movie, Wonka definitely makes more sense as a joyous holiday season family flick. So we're thinking the December date will be especially sweet for everyone involved with the film. As Wonka is based on a children's book and hails from the director behind the first two Paddington movies, don't expect an R-rated film. The 1971 classic earned a G, and the Tim Burton remake got a PG. Wonka will follow in that tradition, with a PG for some violence, mild language, and thematic elements. We're assuming the violence will be very cartoonish, perhaps even candy-related, so feel safe expecting a wholesome tale for all ages.
You're gonna get more than a bonk on the head.
I love a bonk on the head.
What is with me today?
While Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory introduced us to a candy man who spent years locked away inside his factory, developing the most interesting confectionery treats imaginable, Wonka will take a step back and look at the young inventor's rise to fame. According to the plot synopsis, the movie introduces Willy Wonka and the crazy ideas that he has about candy and changing the world. Wonka believes everything is possible if you begin with a dream. Of course, starting his chocolate shop comes with challenges, like dealing with a vicious chocolate cartel or meddlesome police officers looking to spoil his fun. However, with a few impressive song numbers and the help of some lovable friends, Wonka plans to charm everyone in his way. In the early stages of Wonka, Donald Glover, Ryan Gosling, Tom Holland, and Ezra Miller were all considered to play the eccentric chocolatier. However, it was eventually decided that Timothee Chalamet was the right actor to don Willy Wonka's iconic top hat. Speaking about his character at 2023's CinemaCon, Chalamet promised a new take on the classic character. While the actor believes that Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp portrayed Wonka with a bit more cynicism, Chalamet says his candy maker is a Willy that's full of joy and hope, and desire to become the greatest chocolatier.
What are you doing?
I'm making chocolate, of course. How do you like it?
I don't know. I've never had any.
You've never had chocolate?
So, who will be starring alongside Chalamet? Sally Hawkins is playing Willy Wonka's mother. This will mark Hawkins' third collaboration with Wonka director Paul King, as she previously starred in both of his Paddington movies. Paterson Joseph will reportedly be playing Arthur Slugworth, a rival chocolatier. And you've no doubt seen Joseph before in projects such as The Leftovers, Aeon Flux, and Law & Order UK. We also know that Olivia Colman of The Favourite is set to star, and we can also expect to see Mr. Bean himself, Rowan Atkinson. Perhaps most interestingly, rom-com legend Hugh Grant will be playing an Oompa Loompa. Famed comedian Keegan-Michael Key will also appear as Will Jim Carter of Downton Abbey, and Matt Lucas of The Great British Bake Off. Audiences will also get to see Carla Lane of The Day Shall Come as Wonka's young friend, Noodle. In the unbearable weight of massive talent, Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal both come to the consensus that Paddington 2 is the greatest movie of all time. After all, the film famously has a near-perfect Rotten Tomatoes score, marred only by negative reviews from two rogue critics. There have been entire video essays dedicated to the movie's charm, whimsy, and heart. So whoever directed this film sounds like he would be the perfect pick to helm a movie about a free-spirited candy maker. And that's exactly who's directing the upcoming Willy Wonka prequel. We're talking about Paul King, the man who made us all crave marmalade sandwiches with the two Paddington films. In addition to introducing us to the world's most delightful bear, King has also worked on some truly unique British comedies, including Garth Marenghi's Dark Place and The Mighty Boosh. So the man also knows how to make things really weird and really British. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, Wonka star Keegan-Michael Key praised King's take on the material, saying, "Paul King is a delightful human being who has this wonderful childlike heart. He was the perfect person to direct the project." King is also co-writing the picture, along with Simon Farnaby. The two previously collaborated on Paddington 2, so these filmmakers work together extremely well. Farnaby has also penned scripts for comedies Mindhorn and The Phantom of the Open. The original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory boasts several remarkable songs, including Pure Imagination. a number performed by Gene Wilder that's widely considered one of the all-time best movie tunes. Even Charlie and the Chocolate Factory had its fair share of musical moments, with the Oompa Loompas carrying on the tradition of singing whenever a child is punished for their bad behavior. But will the upcoming Wonka have any songs of its own? As it turns out, there's gonna be a ton of them. Speaking with British Vogue, Timothee Chalamet revealed he's got a whopping 7 numbers. Keegan-Michael Key confirmed that with The Hollywood Reporter and added he's participating in 2 songs himself. As for who's penning these tunes, that's none other than Neil Hannon, leader of the band's The Divine Comedy. Speaking to The Times, Hannon praised Chalamet's vocal abilities, saying, "He's just a lovely boy, young and gangly, and he's got a very nice singing tone, which is all I cared about." If you want a taste of what the Wonka prequel has to offer, perhaps it's time to check out the previous films set at the fantastical Chocolate Factory. Of course, when it comes to cinematic takes on Roald Dahl novels, they don't get any more classic than 1971's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It includes Gene Wilder giving perhaps the most charming, creepiest, and loveliest performance of his career as the titular Candyman.
Well, 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 2 naughty, nasty little children gone. 3 good, sweet little children left.
If you want a slightly more modern adaptation, then prepare to visit the wild world of Tim Burton. The kooky auteur stamped his unique visual style on the tale of Willy Wonka and Charlie Bucket with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which features Johnny Depp putting his own spin on the top hat-wearing chocolatier. As a prequel to one of the most beloved movie musicals of all time, Wonka will have its work cut out for it in the music department. Many of the original songs in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory remain iconic half a century after its release. Back in May of 2023, Film Music Reporter had an early scoop that the score of the new film was being provided by Joby Talbot. He had previously composed scores for such films as 2016's Sing and 2005's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Interestingly, Talbot is also a member of the band The Divine Comedy, fronted by Neil Hannon, who is providing Wonka with its original songs. Unless the studio decides to add a bunch of out-of-place top 40 hits to the movie, those songs and Talbot's score appear to be what we can expect on the Wonka soundtrack. This will keep it in line with the classical musical sensibility of the original film. Wonka is not without its controversies, starting with Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa, one of the lovable tiny humanoids whom Willy Wonka claimed he took in as refugees, but has been accused of exploiting for cheap labor and macabre rhymes. George Coppin is a British actor with dwarfism who told the BBC he would have preferred to see a member of that community play that part instead. He said, "A lot of actors with dwarfism feel like we are being pushed out of the industry we love. A lot of people, myself included, argue that dwarves should be offered everyday roles in dramas and soaps, but we aren't getting offered those roles. One door is being closed, but they have forgotten to open the next one." Coppin is referring to new sensitivities in Hollywood, whereby filmmakers may be reluctant to cast actors with dwarfism in roles like Oompa Loompas or Snow White's 7 Dwarfs. However, they remain equally reluctant to cast them in standard acting roles that have nothing to do with their physical size. It's a thorny issue, and not one that's likely to be resolved anytime soon. But you can expect some conversation and discussion around it to continue as Wonka gets closer to its theatrical release. Costuming is an important part of many feature films, but for a fantasy musical like Wonka, you can bet that the costumes are going to serve an especially important role in the overall storytelling. Fortunately, Wonka has veteran Lindy Hemming on board to design the film's costumes. She served the same role on plenty of memorable films, including Paddington and Paddington 2. Hemming has designed costumes for superhero movies like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy and the Wonder Woman films. She's also lent her talents to several 007 movies, starting with GoldenEye through Casino Royale. And if you know anything about the Wonka source material, you know that costuming, starting with Willy Wonka, can get pretty wild and unusual. So this project should serve as a pretty great showcase for her talents. No one will know whether Wonka is a genuine hit until it comes to theaters, but a Deadline report has figures that show Warner Brothers has reason to be optimistic about its prospects. Advanced box office tracking data from the Quorum shows Wonka on track to pull in between $20 million and $23 million in its opening weekend. Unlike other box office tracking firms that release projections 3 weeks before a movie's release, the Quorum specializes in numbers 6 weeks in advance, and Wonka has plenty going for it heading into its holiday season opening. Wonka opens on December 15th, which means that it will likely do good business in the weeks that follow. The Christmas season tends to be popular among movie-going audiences celebrating the holidays. Could Wonka have the kind of broad family appeal that allows it to outperform early predictions? Time will tell, but things could go either way at this point.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Gallery Gourmet,
My name is Willy Wonka.